This is my persuasive speech. The topic is pornography is harmful. The purpose of this is to persuade my peers who have a approach to pornography that it is harmful and negatively affects both their own lives, the lives of people around them, and relationships, and to inform and persuade is looking into solutions to better combat and have a healthier view of a person. So, we're in a generation that seems to have very little respect for the person as a person and more so as an object of abuse. I want and hope to persuade you that consuming pornography negatively affects you and the lives of those close and far to you. So, the main points I'm going to go over is how pornography harms an individual, how pornography can harm a relationship, and then lastly, solutions for how to stop viewing pornographic content and the benefits of doing so. This is a very dirty topic, but I believe if I talked with a gentle and firm setting, such as this, we can move and learn together about how to better respect the opposite person. So, first point, how can pornography harm an individual? It may sound obvious, but science evidently also backs that pornography can harm or lead to harm in a person in many different ways. Some are obvious, others are less so. First, we will talk about is body image and self-perception. According to Burt Kelsey, Alice Spiller, on their article, Instructing Pornography, Addiction, Harms in Science, young men are the predominant consumers of pornography. This is due to the 3 A's that are associated with many addictions: affordability, accessibility, and anonymous. Pornography is free, very easily accessible to anybody with some kind of device of the internet, and also incredibly anonymous, at least to the user. The next is pornography harms the individual by similar means as other forms of addiction. According to the same article, it references how other science articles use data sets with similar terminology for addiction, such as binge, intoxication, withdrawal or negative effects, and preoccupation and anticipation, basically waiting and wanting to go back to using what they're addicted to. Porn addiction can and has even been equated to, in this article, the same level as picking up a cigarette. And while I mainly, in this first point, have talked about how it affects men, it also affects women, not surprisingly enough. By taking another article from Vieira Griffiths, MD, Problematic Pornography Use and Mental, concluded that females who reported problematic internet pornography use experience greater psychological distress when compared to males. These results can be explained in context of females with problematic online pornography use being more vulnerable than males to developing psychopathological symptoms, including loneliness and anxiety. From these articles, I want to logically establish that pornography can lead to more negative than positive effects affecting body image, mental health, and overall outlook on person. Next, we're going to move to if it affects individuals, how does it affect relationships and why? Secondly, how pornography harms a relationship. Pornography, when consumed, is seen by some as cheating and being unfaithful in a relationship, and this is in itself harmful. But how is it actually harmful to the relationship? What does consuming the pornography does to the relationship? An immediate consequence one would think of for consuming pornography starts at the social level, as reported by the previous article, as stated before, which was Burt Kelsey? It was written by Vieira C. and Griffiths, MD, Problematic Pornography Use and Mental Health, states that self-reported people in the study reported that they were fired from their jobs for viewing it at work, damaged intimate relationships, and or negatively affected other social activities. Another article, summary of research done by University of Utah, The Effects of Pornography on Relationships, talks more detailed about the real and actual effects of pornography in everyday relationships. Users face difficulty becoming sexually aroused without pornography, such as users lost interest and engages in fewer sexual experiences with their partner. Pornography consumption may be correlated to an increase of behaviors of hooking up and infidelity. Partner feels sexually inadequate and threatened by use of pornography, the most obvious one we all think of. And lastly, partner may feel that certain sexual activities desired by user are objectionable. And lastly, what is the point of this? Okay, it harms individuals, it harms relationships, but what am I supposed to take from this? I will sum this by saying to render someone as an object of pleasure instead as a person with a being that can feel things is to lower them and yourself to nothing lower than animals with unkept abuses. This stuff ruins people, marriages, relationships of every kind. And unfortunately, because this subject is so radioactive, so few people are truly willing to sit down and offer a helping hand. My last main point, on a lighter note, is going over solutions, both practically and morally. Because at the end of the day, pornography, while it may not be equated to murder, it is morally questionable. And I want to persuade you it is wrong. Pornography is unfortunately the equivalent of the backyard garden snake that we all think we need to we don't need help to take care of it and to get rid of it. But we do not have to tackle this problem alone we do not have to tackle this problem of pornography alone. People viewing pornography typically stems from a previous form of exposure in the past at a very young age. And then that model is typically molded as the person gets older. This idea of what a healthy sexual encounter looks like is changed before it's ever started. It is not an easy habit to put down or an addiction to break, but these are some places that I can attest to that have helped. One, according to a study or a journal written by O. Gorman Kevin, the United States Bishops of Pornography, the Catholic Christian bishops talk about the gift of the human person and just how much value we as people can barely understand with each other. By first starting with how we view people and changing that to something more respectful, we could then start to undo the rot in the fur, so to speak, that is our conscience. Next, we have some practical, legitimate steps to tackling pornography addiction. This is not something officially classified by the Diagnostic Manual for Mental Disorder, but the treatments that are used for other addictions or abuses of something can be applied here, such as detoxing, group one-on-one therapy, and other things such as exposure therapy. By the way, the source for that last point was Pornography Addiction, Why is Pornography Addictive by Donovan, John, and Schwann. I know I'm a little over on time, so I'm going to close with this. I wanted to talk about this because I have seen firsthand and heard from my friends, male and female, and peers, that while people like to say, I do not judge, they do in fact think about how they are looked at. By taking a stance on pornography being wrong and harmful, we could start to rebuild what we should have had since we were kids, innocent love for one another. So to quickly sum, we talked about how pornography is harmful to the individual, how it harms the relationship, and solutions to stop viewing pornographic content and the benefits of doing so. This is not a speech to condemn, but rather a speech to call us to view each other as people and not as objects. Thank you.